You know, the one thing that happens often when you are a dominant fighter, especially when you're a dominant champion, and people can't really find anyone in your current weight class to beat you, is they start looking to the past. Who has this man had issues with in the past? Now, Israel Adesanya came into the UFC in a very dominant way. The man made his mark instantly. His personality, his fight style, a lot of people loved him. Had a very fan friendly style as well. And quickly moved up the rankings, quickly became interim champion, quickly became champion with a beautiful KO of Robert Whitaker. And then he started to defend the belt. But as he's been defending the title, you know, his fights have gotten a bit lackluster. Some people are not really enjoying the way that he's fighting. And so, at this point in his career, especially if you're someone that doesn't like Izzy, the question is, who can we find to beat this guy? And of course, because he's pretty much cleared out the division. I mean, there's really no one in that weight class that you can tangibly say, well, besides Hamzat Chimaev. Like, Hamzat Chimaev is still a question in that weight class, but besides him, there's really no one else that you could really say, you know, this is a potential fight that Izzy is going to lose in the middleweight division, except a former foe. And by that former foe, we are talking about Alex Pereira. I hope I said that man's name correctly. Now, you might be asking, who the hell is that? You know, if you're not familiar with who he is, he's a 34-year-old Brazilian and former two-division kickboxing champion. Pretty much the man is a lethal kickboxer. He is currently in the UFC. He used to fight for the Glory promotion. This is a man that has fought Israel Adesanya twice. They fought twice, and the first time that they fought, as you can see right there, the two rivals first met back in 2016 at the Glory of Heroes 1, where the current middleweight champion lost by unanimous decision. The first time they fought, and you can find these fights on YouTube. I'm not going to show them on this video. I don't want any issues. But the first time they fought, it was a tightly contested fight. Izzy lost by decision. And then a year later, as you can see, a year later, they met for a rematch, and Israel Adesanya got knocked out. It was a pretty bad KO. It was a beautiful left hand. But if you go back and watch that fight, you know, you see that Izzy was doing a pretty good job in the fight as well, up until the KO, which doesn't really mean much. It's like, yeah, I was winning until I lost. You know, it's not really saying much, but it is an important point to keep in mind for this upcoming news that we just got. Because the fight between them, a third fight between them, has been brewing. You know, it's been on the back burner. It's been talked about. A lot of people have been looking forward to it just because of what it means. And it's happening, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely freaking happening. As you can see right there, Israel Adesanya to defend middleweight title versus Alex Pereira in UFC 281 headliner. Looks like there is a video right here that they posted. Let's go right ahead and check it out.
Alex Pereira twice, but in kickboxing, where he won both fights. How do you look back at those two fights?
How do I look back? They're part of history, part of his story. Because
His story.
the judges gave him the nod in the first one, and the next one, he took me out in the third round. So yeah, that's part of his story. But now it's time for my story.
What's going to be different this time in the octagon compared to kickboxing?
I've been saying this. I said this at the press conference. For me, it's the gloves. When I said something about the pillow gloves, you can't guard the same way you guard in kickboxing and MMA. You have to be able to use your brain, move out the shots, and also my striking style is a lot different. I can elbow, I can use my knees, I can get in the clinch and stay in the clinch. Yeah, there's a lot more that's different in this game, and people can just look at the past, the finish, and yeah, hold on to that.
You could have chosen to fight anyone. Why take on this challenge now against the guy who's rising quickly through the UFC ranks?
I mean, have I ever shied away from a fight?
Well, no, of course not.
I've always picked the guy no one wants to fight, the guy everyone runs away from. I run towards. So yeah, I run towards the fire, and this is no different. And again, I after he beat me, in Brazil, I never had any plans of trying to get revenge or anything like that because I don't hold on to things. I let go of things. But again, I'm telling you, the universe has presented this to me, and it's right there. It's the perfect alley oop, and I'm gonna slam. I'm gonna slam this.
Okay.
They're like, this is not exactly what we were expecting you to say. Not expecting you to curse on TV, but we will take it. So yeah, as you can see, Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira, they are set to rematch again. They will be fighting a third time at UFC 281. UFC 281, November 12th in New York. Man, I think it's going to be a really, really interesting fight. A lot of what Izzy said is definitely true. Like if you were to go back and you were to rewatch those fights, of course they were fighting with pretty much boxing style gloves. The style of striking they were doing, the fact that it was mostly kickboxing. Well, it was kickboxing, not mostly, clearly kickboxing. And Israel has amended his style a little bit. For one, I think he is more opportunistic right now in the UFC, and it would make sense why that is, right? Because in the UFC, it's like striking sequences in the UFC, you're presented with such small opportunities. For example, like if it was like a kickboxing match, you have all the time in the world. You know your opponent is not going to try to take you to the ground. You know they're not going to, pin you against the cage for long periods of time. You're not worried about submissions. You're only worried about kickboxing. You're worrying about your setup. So every single thing you're doing is geared towards kickboxing. So you can kind of take your time. But in MMA, every single thing you're doing, it has to be a little bit quicker. Like even if you're a wrestler, even if you're a grappler or you're a jiu-jitsu guy, just because of all the different facets of MMA, you can't just like take your time. Like if you were playing guard in MMA, you don't play guard in MMA the same way you play guard in a jiu-jitsu competition where you can take your time, get your grips properly, relax, check posture. No, strikes are coming at you. You got to be explosive. You got to do things quickly. You got to look for opportunities. If you're jumping on a leg lock, for example, you can't sit there and slowly tighten up your grip like you can in a jiu-jitsu competition. No, you might have to jump on that thing and yank it as quickly as possible. You know what I mean? So it's very similar also to striking. And Izzy, he's definitely way more opportunistic. He's definitely way more sorry about that. He's definitely way more opportunistic with the way that he strikes, and I think that's going to play a massive role in this fight. I definitely don't think it's going to be anything different. I mean, there's been a lot of talk that it's MMA. They're fighting MMA now, so Israel might take him down. I don't see that happening. I don't see a situation where Israel tries to take him to the ground. I think it's going to be a striking match. I think this is going to be a battle that will be contested on the feet, and we're going to find out who ends up taking it. I'm probably going to do an actual fight prediction for this one. Right now, I don't really have a prediction. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't even begin to predict it. But as we get closer, it is something that I intend to do. So in the meantime, though, just excited for this match. Let me know in the comment section who you guys think is going to come out on top. Let me know what your thoughts are. And I'll see you guys later with a brand new one. As always, stay safe. Peace out. Have a good one.